Good morning. Good morning, everybody. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking of Bharat, India on this day, December 21st, 2020, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. मैं सूरज सिंह भारत इंडिया से बोल रहा हूँ। आज दिनांक 21/2021 सुबह के 5 बजे। माई लास्ट वीडियो ब्रोक अगेन एज हैपन्स यूजुअली। हर रोज़ जो होता है, पिछला वीडियो टूट गया 58 मिनट बाद, और इसलिए मुझे दूसरा वीडियो डाला। रोज़ रोज़ होता है, कोई नई बात नहीं है। इट्स हैपनिंग एवरी डे. Signals break and our service provider sleeps well. All structure of service provider is non-serious, and that is my seriousness about quality. No system works well means bad quality. If signals do not come well means bad quality. And if my work doesn't go well, it's bad quality. And what I say, maybe I am wrong or maybe I right, you have to decide. Again, I say quality is an issue in every sector currently. We cannot run away. People have to realize people fly in air without knowing where is ground surface and where is sea level. That is problem of current scenario. Again, signal 0, 0, just 1 minute over, and signals both video and audio 90 now, and frame only 4. That's what I'm telling. There is no one to look after work. There is no one to look after work, and this means there is no one to look after quality. You cannot achieve anything on your own. It's only in 10 seconds. Again, this is 0, 0. That is beauty of bad quality. Means they do not know what's happening. If say I have one company, I don't know what's happening in my company, and I leave it to time, I leave it to others, or I leave it to automatism. Now it is 3 Mbps and now it is 0.5 Mbps. That's where problem lies in. No check at all. That's why I'm stressing. That's why I'm stressing that shall I skip speed? Again 0, 0. That's the problem. Not couple of minutes passed. Fluctuation is so high from 3 MB to 0 MB. What to do? Should I break my head with wall? 2.3 MB? I'm just trying to tell you what's happening. Don't take it otherwise. I cannot abuse these people because there is no meaning in abusing them. They don't listen to. They are current people, current generation, which is not bothered about quality, which has no botherance about seriousness. They do not know what is problem in life. They do not know what is seriousness in life. They are just inclined to enjoy their lives with comfortable material. They are material-oriented classes. These people who are employed with service very good feedback they want. Again 0, 0. Just in couple of minutes, you can say in 3 or 4 minutes, I have seen at least 10 fluctuations. That's where problem lies in. So why I cannot question quality? I was talking about quality, and these are my credentials, and this is a file of quality which is required everywhere. I was talking about concrete. That's very important. I say I don't repeat title, it's already there. That is civil field engineering, and of course quality, safety, contracts, designs, methods, everything is involved in that. That is construction, that is civil, that is engineering world. And I am surprised that these service providers don't have any engineering stamina in them. They're only interested in money. It may be Airtel or it may be other service providers. They don't care for anything because they are not professionals. I can plainly say professionalism has disappeared from scenario. It is in our country. I think same happens everywhere because people are same all over the world. And I am blaming everyone for this. I don't blame owners because they are money oriented. There is no serious class among these people, IT people. They don't have any realization of problems of users, and they don't care for them. User is bound because user is an alternative, and they keep on extracting money from users. You may know that these service providers can raise rates of services without even telling you. And you are bound to accept that because you don't have an alternative. There is no sector from government involved. There is no concern from government, and there is no concern from nation, and they do whatever they want. Even then quality is bad, unfortunately. It happens on mobile service, it happens on laptop, computer service or single service. Sometimes it is excellent, other times it is negative. That is my concern. I am talking of civil engineering world. I am talking of formwork. I am talking of concreting. These are much more than services. Because service can be for 1 month, say for 28 days, then they revise for another 28 days, likewise. But our services, construction services, construction domain is meant for many, many decades. There is no comparison. There can be no comparison between these temporary services of internet or temporary service of mobile. We don't have any temporary service. Even our formworks, our scaffolding are not temporary. Though we call them temporary works, but services are not temporary. These are very powerful services. If you don't have reliable scaffolding, if you don't have reliable shuttering system, formwork system, everything would collapse. We will face accidents. And that's where risk lies in. That's where life, survival of humanity lies in. Construction related accidents are very expensive, much more than life loss. Means risk is involved everywhere. And that's what I say. We cannot move like these light level, light profile, low profile service providers. They don't maintain well. These people can't run their business well, only to extract money from people and nothing else. If they can't give service, they have no moral right to stay in business. But where is meaning of moral these days? If you don't have moral, you are a good person. If you have moral, you are foolish. That is definition of current times. Moral means nothing. Material means everything. How much money you have, that is your character. You are a top money haver. You are a good person. You are a poor worker. You are no class. You have only value for few kilogram of wheat grains. That's it. So I say early loading. Early loading. Contractors should note that loading from false work and wet concrete during construction of a floor does not exceed permissible loading on floor immediately below. And we can consider two floors. One floor on which we are working. For one floor we are working. So one floor on which we are standing. We stand. And floor below. We have to make sure that these two floors, one on which we work and one which is located below, these have enough strength to take load of temporary work or preparatory work and concrete. These two floors must share that successfully, and that's why it says consequently two of floors immediately below one being constructed will be used to share that loading. While propping through two floors, contractor ensure that props beneath floor last constructed are released over its full extent as soon as concrete has achieved sufficient strength to support itself plus some superposed loading, but not sooner than period given in table, as we said before, de-shuttering period or removal of shuttering period. Props then be retightened so that this may be used to share construction loading from floor above. Notwithstanding requirements of this section for removal times of formwork, following provisions shall apply to each loading of concrete. At no time. Concrete shall at no time be subject to loading, including its own weight, which induce a compressive stress in excess of 0.33 of actual compressive strength. Means we cannot exceed 1/3 load which it can digest. It says concrete shall at no time be subject to load, including its own weight, which includes a compressive stress in excess of 1/3 of actual compressive strength of concrete at time of loading, or you can say 1/3 of specified 28-day characteristic strength, whichever is lower. For purpose of this provision, assessment of strength of concrete and stress produced by loads shall be subject to agreement with the engineer. So we know 28 days is conclusive strength, let us say 30 Newton. So we cannot allow more than 1/3, that's 10. So concrete shall at no time be subject to load, including its own weight, which induces a compressive strength or excess of 1/3 of actual compressive strength of concrete at time of loading, or 1/3 of specified 28 days strength. So you got this point. If due to method of construction, contractor wishes to place an imposed load on structure, should arrange for additional cubes to be cast at point of structure. We load it, and these cubes will crushed to monitor compressive strength in accordance with BSEN 12390-3 compressive strength of test specimen. Contractor submits calculation showing stresses induced by whatever proposed temporary loads to be placed on structure. So it says, repeat, if due to its method of construction, contractor wishes to place an imposed load on structure, shall arrange for additional cubes to be cast at point of structure to be loaded, and these cubes be crushed to monitor compressive strength in accordance with code provisions. No superstructure load shall be placed upon finished piers or abutments until engineer has given approval in writing, and in no case shall any load be placed until curing period is complete. Deck slabs of bridges shall only be opened to traffic or construction equipment and plant when authorized by engineer, and no case until curing period is complete. Now we go to curing. Curing. In this we have scope, we have references, submittals, quality requirement, storage, then we have curing. So general is a scope, references, submittals, quality, storage, and in curing general, what for curing, general requirement, curing of formed surfaces, curing of unformed surfaces, moisture curing, then we have moisture retaining cover curing, moisture curing and moisture retaining cover curing. Then liquid membrane curing, steam curing, pavements and other slabs on ground, buildings, bridges and other structures, mass general headings. We have scope, reference, submittals, quality, storage, and in curing itself we have water for curing, general requirements, curing of formed surfaces, curing of unformed surfaces, moisture curing, moisture retaining core curing, liquid membrane curing, steam curing, pavements and other slab on ground, buildings, bridges and other structures, mass concrete. So let's say what we talk of here. Says in this part, in general, this part covers requirements for curing of concrete, and sections in this book, in this code, in the specifications are as follows: general, water, property requirement, hot weather condition, concreting, miscellaneous. These are related chapter to curing, that is part 1, that is general, part 4 water, part 6 property requirement, part 15 hot weather concreting. That is liquid membrane curing. Of course, I'm not naming codes, you can see yourself what's written on screen. Then guide to concrete curing, specification for liquid membrane forming compounds for curing concrete, that is liquid membrane, and method of test for curing compounds for concrete, quality, organization, management systems, and that is requirement. Contractor submits to engineer, contractor shall submit to engineer for proposed method. Quality requirement is contractor shall submit to engineer for approval details of proposed curing media. If some details shall include chemical tests for product in accordance, chemical test for product in accordance with requirement of BS, and details of quality requirement procedures chemical curing compounds. Chemical curing compounds shall be stored in accordance with manufacturer's recommendations. Curing contractor shall ensure that curing is provided for 24 hours per day. This means non-stop, no gap. 24 hours per day, including holidays, and with all related necessary plant and workers resources are also available. Means contractor or work, you can say, if not contractor, because this is a specification, you may say whoever works on that shall ensure that curing is provided for 24 hours per day, including holidays, and that all related necessary plants and workers resources are also available. Special attention to be given to curing of vertical and overhanging surfaces. Again I say, when I say contractor, this means not exactly contractor, but whoever works there. I mean that. You can say, again signals are down, 0, 0. Thank you Airtel, thank you very much for serving me with 0 signals and sometimes for maximum signals. Both ways, you are great. Contractor or person works for concrete shall adopt curing measures that preclude possibility of thermal shock to concrete during curing, which can be achieved by ensuring that temperature of water used for curing does not differ from that of concrete by more than 15 degrees Celsius. This is a point here. Contractors shall adopt curing measures that preclude possibility of thermal shock. We have to avoid possibility of thermal shock, which means thermal shocks to concrete during curing. And we have to say that by ensuring difference of temperature, and that is temperature of water used for curing, it should not differ from that of concrete by more than 15 degrees Celsius. Example, let's say temperature of weather is 35 degrees, I am just saying example. So water temperature of weather is say 35 degrees, so 35 minus 15, it should be 20. Water temperature should be 20. And if it is 45 degrees weather, this means it should not be more than 15 degrees, so 40 minus 15, and that is 40 minus 15, 35. 40 minus 15, that is 25. That's what I say, difference of 15, where you have to take downwards, not upwards. If say 40 degrees is weather temperature, you cannot say 55, you have to say minus. This is what it says, mean temperature difference between weather and temperature difference of water. That's what I'm saying. Temperature difference of water that is going to be used for curing should not be, whatever is weather temperature. If it is hot, I'm talking of that, I'm not talking of cold. If it's hot weather condition, you can deduct 15 degrees from available temperature, and that must be water that's used for curing, its temperature. Curing shall continue. And this actually I just try to explain because it's very important point. Generally, I've seen people are not clear about temperature. If you talk to some engineers, you won't get straight answer. I'm not saying they do not know it. Maybe they ignored temperature consideration, but it's very important. We cannot say we cannot concern. We have to ensure. But generally, when you concrete, it's already good weather condition in which you want to do, because everywhere it's not like that. So maybe practically nobody bothers because it's evening time or night time. It's not, you can say, hot hours where direct sun works. So, but point is point. We have to keep in mind this 15 degrees Celsius difference between weather temperature and concrete curable water temperature. Curing shall continue for at least 7 days and until it attains an in-place compressive strength of concrete of at least 70% of specified compressive or flexural strength. Whichever period is longer, curing shall not stop unless otherwise it's approved by engineer. So when it says curing shall continue for at least 7 days, it is 7 days, but it's now more if you use supplementary cementing material or pozzolanic replacement, you may say. So it has to be more than that. And we can, by trial, we know on 7 days or on 8 days or 10 days what are results and what extrapolation should give answer to. 7 days is minimum criteria, but it's not necessary that we have to stick to that because of some additive requirements of SCMs, supplementary cementing material. When low water cement is used, low water cement ratio is used, concrete shall be preferably cured by water. When low water cement is used, concrete shall be preferred cured by water because content of water are lesser in concrete. Water for curing, water used for curing purposes, we shall conform to requirement of part 4 of this section. Now, general requirement. General requirement: freshly placed concrete shall be protected from sun. Again 00, my God, what to do? That's always a problem. Fresh placed concrete shall be protected from sun, from wind, from rain, from exposure and excessive drying out. So this is where all natural agents concrete shall be cured for a period of time required to obtain full specified strength. Concrete shall be cured for a period of time required to obtain full specified strength, but not less than 7 to 14 consecutive days. I am adding to 14 because 7 is not adequate when you permanently include supplementary cementing material, which are pulverized fuel ash or GGBS, granulated ground blast furnace slag, or microsilica itself, or you can call it silica fumes. Method of curing shall be conducted by water using water for first 7 days, and by water or curing compound formation based membrane for mixture with a low to zero bleeding rate. For mixture with a low to zero bleeding rate, or in case of aggressively evaporative environment, both you can say every time between placement and final finishing of concrete. Curing shall start at early time between placement and final finishing. Curing shall be done reducing moisture loss. Curing shall be done by reducing moisture loss for surface using fogging system, and use of evaporation reducers such as monomolecular water curing compound. Monomolecular water curing compound. I repeat, it is very complicated and technical statements of paragraph. For mixtures with low to zero bleeding rate, or in case of aggressively evaporative any time between whatever time between its placement and its final finishing. Curing shall be by reducing moisture loss from surface using fogging system, and use of evaporation reducers such as monomolecular water curing compound. Exposed surfaces be protected from air-blown contamination until 28 days after concrete is placed. Method of curing shall ensure that sufficient moisture is present to complete hydration of cement. Method of curing shall ensure that sufficient moisture is present. Method of curing must ensure that sufficient moisture is present to complete hydration of cement, and to its approval of engineers. Method of curing shall not disfigure permanently exposed surfaces, affect bonding of subsequent coatings, which means plastering or rendering, increase temperature of concrete. When you say bonding of subsequent coating, this can be direct application of paint also. If you say no, we don't do finishing works on that, we don't do plastering or rendering on that, means in that case we have to cure surface. First is, it should not disfigure permanently exposed surfaces and should not affect bonding of subsequent coatings. It should not increase temperature of concrete. That is what is method of curing. Must ensure that sufficient moisture is present to complete hydration of cement and the approval of engineer. A material of curing this shall not disfigure permanently exposed surfaces and does not affect binding of subsequent coatings. Increase temperature of concrete. It should not increase temperature of concrete. During curing period, exposed concrete surface shall be protected from direct rays of sun. During curing period, exposed concrete shall be protected from direct rays of sun. When liquid membrane is used to cure concrete, it shall not be applied if bleeding water is present. It shall not be applied if bleeding water is present on surface of concrete. It says when liquid membrane is used to cure concrete, it shall not be applied if bleeding water is present on concrete. Applied film of liquid membrane shall be continuous and protected from rain and damages for at least 14 days. Formed surfaces. Formed surfaces including underside of beams, or you can say beam soffits or girders. Supported slabs and like by moist curing with no forms in place for full curing period or until forms are removed. When forms are stripped, curing shall continue by whatever approved method. When liquid membrane curing is used, it shall be applied immediately after removing shutters. In such cases, concrete surface shall be prepared prior to application of membrane as recommended by manufacturer. When liquid membrane curing is used, it shall be applied immediately after formwork is removed. In such cases, concrete surface shall be prepared prior to application of membrane as recommended by manufacturer. Water curing is not required when liquid membrane is used. When you prepare surface for application of liquid membrane, generally what manufacturers would say, you first clean surface and spray with water, fog water. You should come down immediately and the moist condition remains there, which you have to preserve. And that preservation means whole surface area with some projections should be watered and sprayed with curing compound. Curing of unformed surfaces. We talked of formed surfaces. Now, unformed surfaces shall be protected Unformed surfaces shall be protected as soon as possible after concrete has been placed by polythene sheeting. Unformed surfaces shall be protected as soon as possible after concrete has been placed by protected as soon as possible after concrete has been placed by polythene sheeting. We have to protect it by polythene sheeting, you can say. You have to cover that surface using polythene sheet. When sufficiently hard Hessian or other absorbent material be placed on concrete surface and shall be kept wet for required period. Hessian shall be overlaid with a sheet of 1000 gauge polythene to assist in retention of water. Alternatively, a curing method approved by engineer may be used. So, curing of unformed surfaces, it says that immediately you can use polythene sheet so that water particle remains there. And if advancement continues, I mean to say, if means it continues to cure, why it says your unformed surface shall be protected as soon as possible after concrete has been placed, and we have to use polythene sheet for that purpose. And when it is sufficiently hard, we have to apply Hessian, or you can say saturated Hessian or other absorbent material on concrete surface and shall be kept wet for required Hessian shall be overlaid with a sheet of 1000 gauge polythene to assist in retention of water. Alternatively, so we can say overlaid with 1000 gauge polythene sheet to assist in retention of water. Alternatively, a curing method approved by engineer may be used once concrete is sufficiently hard. Top exposed surface of walls, columns and beams shall be water cured and cured with wet Hessian for moist curing. Moist curing shall be performed by covering surface of concrete with water, and keeping it continuously wet. Covering surface of concrete with water and keeping it continuously wet. Continuous use of fog water sprays. Continuous use of fog water sprays. Continuous use of fine fog water spray. Covering surface with saturated absorptive cover. Covering surface with saturated absorptive cover and keep it continuously wet. You can say burlap, cotton mats, and other absorbent materials can be used to hold water on horizontal and vertical surfaces. Wet straw wet straw or hay can be used for wet curing small areas, but there is danger that wind might displace. When this method is employed, bunds used shall not be made from fill from excavations or whatever other areas, any other areas where there is possibility of chloride contamination or curing. Moisture retaining cover curing. Concrete surface shall be covered. Concrete surface shall be covered with a suitable absorptive covering such as vegetation. Absorptive covering shall be overlaid with a 1000 gauge polythene sheet. Cover shall be in wider practical widths and shall have 100 mm side and end laps. Penetration or tear in covering shall be repaired with same material and waterproof. You can say concrete surface shall be covered with suitable absorptive covering such as vegetation. Absorptive curing shall be overlaid with 1000 gauge polythene sheet. Cover shall be in widest practical widths and have 100 mm side and end overlaps. Penetrations or tear in covering shall be repaired with same material and water tape. Liquid membrane curing shall be in accordance with requirement of BS 7542, ASTM C309 or C1315 when tested at rate of coverage use on job. Shall be used as a test method. ASTM C156 to evaluate water retention capability of liquid membrane forming compounds. ASTM C1151 provides an alternative laboratory test for determining efficiency of liquid membrane forming compounds. Membrane forming curing compounds